we are giving away all of these 16 prizes here to celebrate the World Championship, including a signed photo from Raymond van Barneveld and Phil Taylor, which includes a match used dart. Just head over to our Twitter, link in the description, to see our pinned tweet for full details, and don't forget to comment and subscribe. Hello and welcome to Darts Now. And as you can see, I'm joined by a very, very special guest now, three-time major champion Luke Humphries. How does it sound being called a three-time major champion already?
It is quite incredible. Over the last 2 months, 2 months ago, I didn't have a major title. Now, the big success has come quite quickly. To now be sat with three is quite an unbelievable feeling, especially when people keep, announce it like you just done there. Yeah, it's a surreal feeling, but it's one that I'm starting to get used to, and I'm looking forward to the future now, hoping to add a lot more to that and keep growing my profile in the major wins.
Well, speaking of adding a lot more, you are the bookmakers' favourite for the World Championship, and a lot of people are saying that you are the favourite as well. Do you feel like the favourite headed into Alexandra Palace?
Not specifically. I don't feel like I'm the outright favourite that everybody should think no one's going to beat me sort of favourite. I think, of course, I'll be one of the favourites, and I do believe that. Of course, I believe I'll be in the top four for definite. Obviously, I think people sort of see the way I've been playing recently, and when someone's playing as well as I am, you obviously going to tip them to win because they're in the form, they're playing well. But World Championships is a different scenario. It's much harder than anything I've won previously. So yeah, it's nice to have that tag on my back, but of course it's going to handle some pressure on me as well. But like I said, I know I can deal with that. In previous interviews, I've told people, I can deal with that pressure.
A few weeks ago, Peter Wright said that he unleashed a monster when he missed those 3 match starts against you at the World Grand Prix, which you went on to win. But then he also said that it was a little bit too early for you to win the World Championship. What would you say to that?
First of all, yeah, he probably did unleash the beast. I think, he'd probably look back at that thinking I shouldn't, maybe I wouldn't have even been a one-time major champion. But I think the way I played in all 3 of them tournaments, I think I would have won at least one. So yeah, but obviously I was lucky enough to get away with them mismatched starts and picked up my first, and it's allowed me as a catalyst to go on and win more. But no, I don't. I think that's probably said in jest. I don't think that there's a certain date or a certain age you have to be world champion. Is it too early? I don't think so. Maybe I'd won more major titles than Peter before he won his first world title. So there's nothing to say when that right time is. I think there's been about 3, maybe 4 people that have been younger than me when they've been world champion. So yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think there's a certain time in age or a certain time in your career where you're ready for it. I think it just happens when it happens. It might not happen this year, and if it doesn't mean that I'm not ready. It just means that I might have been outplayed, or it just wasn't my time. But it's one of them things. I think it will just happen when it happens. Just like I said about winning major titles. I said it to you in interviews before. It will happen when it happens, and it happened at the Grand Prix, which was amazing for me.
Now you've been in the World Championship a few times now. A few fond memories, 2 quarterfinals, but then there's that infamous Paul Ling game. I mean, what are your memories on that stage? I mean, that Paul Ling game a few years ago was just a crazy game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a strange game. It was in the COVID times, and I was 2-0 up, and I think I felt like I lost concentration. I wasn't really playing that great in the first 2 sets anyway, but Paul wasn't really doing much against me, and subconsciously I probably thought he's probably not playing well enough to come back at me. Just keep doing what you're doing and you win. But the difference between then and now is the mentality would have been, right, I want to be even better in this set and make sure I walk off the stage 3-0. But that is, them sort of experiences is what you need in life. I think you need them as much as they hurt at that time. You need them experiences that, really do help you out in future. Obviously, if I'm 2-0 up, 3-0 up in games now, where there's no like, right, I've won this game, I can relax. I feel more relentless, like I want to get even better, even though I'm sort of close to the winning line. It makes you more resilient. So yeah, these experiences are stuff that you just have to take on the chin. It's good for you in a way, as much as it doesn't feel like that at the time. But I've got good memories at the World. Obviously I've made 3 quarterfinals there. So it's not a bad record, but if anything this year, I really want to make that next step and at least making a semi-final as a minimum, because the world's maybe one of them things that you have to keep using it as a stepping stone, keep progressing semis and then a final and then win. So I think the minimum goal for me this year is to make the semi-finals.
You mentioned the mindset there when you are ahead now, that it's just ruthlessness. But what's the mindset now when you do go behind in games? I'm thinking back to that final against Michael van Gerwen. I think it was 9-5 down before you won 6 on the spin. What was going through your mind when he was only 2 away and you were still over halfway there?
I felt a bit flat in that game, I must admit. I didn't really feel at my peak best. It was tired darts. It had been a long few weeks for me. But I seemed to find something for him. I think, when I think he celebrated at a moment, and I felt like he sort of celebrated like he thought he'd won it. And, I thought to myself, okay, well, you got one more session of darts to play. Then you're going to have a big break, give it everything you've got. And I think it sort of woke me up a little bit. And I really put that effort in and that determination to try and make it as close as I physically could to, see if it got interesting. And then when it went 9-0, that's when I knew that I was, the chance was there again for me to win. And luckily enough for me, I capitalised on it. And his missed doubles in the 20th leg, that cost him the tournament. But if you're not going to take your doubles out, then I'm there to pounce, and I was. But overall, I thought it was quite a fascinating game, and I was really, really pleased. I think it was my favourite one so far of winning a third major.
Was that because it was Michael van Gerwen in the final?
Yeah, it was. He's one of the greatest players to ever, in my opinion, the second greatest player to ever pick up a dart. Obviously Phil Taylor, I don't think anybody's ever going to match him. 16 world titles. I don't think anybody will ever get close to that. But of my generation, he's probably been the greatest player the world's ever seen. So to beat him in a final when he at the start, he was, that was like peak Michael van Gerwen when he was playing unbelievable. So to beat him,
as well.
yeah, exactly. So to beat him in a moment like that in a final with him playing like he was, that meant a lot. Sometimes people might not ever appreciate your wins unless they're against the best players. But I think all 3 of my finals have been against, they've been against world champions and they've been against real tough players. So, I've not had an easy ride in a final yet.
You mentioned how tiring the past few weeks and months have been for you. So how do you make sure that you have a good break between the Players' Championship finals and the World Championship, but also stay sharp and make sure that you are ready for when you're up on that stage?
I think it is a decent break from the Players to the Worlds. I think it's nearly 3 weeks. That's a decent amount of time to be ready for it. I've done a few exhibitions and I've won all 3 of them I've played in, which is obviously good preparation as well. We go into them trying to entertain the crowd, and it's a bit of fun. But of course, when you're up on there, played Michael and Johnny and stuff like that, you want to be playing good darts. You want to, you don't want to be not playing well, otherwise your confidence can be knocked in a way. But I played well in them, and I had plenty of rest. Obviously, lots and lots of media. I suppose that's what comes with the World Championships. It's a special tournament, and a lot of the news outlets want your take in it. Michael's and Gezzy's and Peter's, they want all your takes on how you're feeling. So it has been busy on the media front, but I'm well rested and I'm really, really prepared this year. And I don't think I've ever been more prepared for a World Championships than I am this year.
With what you've done this year, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you probably are going to be in the Premier League now.
Well, it has been confirmed, so that's not an exclusive. Sorry? I said that already has been confirmed, so it's not an exclusive.
Oh, brilliant! We can all stop talking about it then.
Yeah,
but have you thought about how you'd manage your schedule? Because generally you do play pretty much everything. I know you do skip a few events, but with the Premier League on the Thursday, Pro Tours obviously are all midweek now, and then you could have some Euro Tours on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So have you sort of planned how you would manage your schedule? And of course, you've got a 1 Euro at home as well.
Yes, it will. Yes, obviously, it will be different. I'm going to have to sort of different way. I won't be able to, play in everything. That's just the way it is. You physically can't because you just. And you got to be careful that I'm in prime prime positions for when I'm in the majors and stuff. These are the tournaments I'm in to win all the time. So yeah, there will be a few tournaments I'll have to skip. Players Championships, maybe one or maybe two Euro tours. But that's just the way it is. You have to be careful not to overdo it, and you have to be careful not to overdo it on the exhibition circuit as well. And like you say, I've got a 1-year-old and a stepdaughter, and my girlfriend. We've got a family that I have to look after as well, and I have to be a part of. So it will have to be scheduled in the right way. To look at the calendar and make sure that I pick the right tournaments to play in. But I don't think you'll see much of a me pulling out of a lot of tournaments. You'll still see me in most of the Pro Tours, most of the Euro Tours, and stuff like that. Just have to miss the odd one here and there, because the calendar is a busy schedule. So it's really important that you manage it and pick the right tournaments to play in.
One thing as well that I wanted to ask you about is, when we spoke in Minehead, you said that you read a lot of social media. Everything gets back to you. Now, there are a lot of good comments about you on social media, but also, shall we say, not so good comments. I mean, do those get to you when you read them?
I don't see them all. I just, the ones you get tagged in, sometimes you'll see them, but they really don't. I'm really thick-skinned. Anything that's said to me or said about me, it physically doesn't bother me. It really, honestly, it doesn't. And it's good that I am this way, because there is certain players there it may affect more, and it's a shame that sometimes people ain't a little bit nicer. Because if everybody's, I think a lot of people complain like on social media about the players' personalities and stuff, but if we're all the same, then it wouldn't be a great place. It'd be boring. Everyone's the same.
Yeah.
There'd be no one for people to talk about. So we're all different, but we're all the same in a way. We're all got. I couldn't sit and say there's one player in darts that's got a really bad personality or I don't like, because we all get along. Everyone's all right, but when you're on the stage, you have a different persona, and I'm up there to fully focus and do everything I can to win. And then there's people like Nathan Aspinall who can joke about and still focus and play his best. He thrives on that enjoyment. And Peter Wright, he's the same. He thrives on that sort of enjoyment and having a joke and a laugh. And everybody's different. But you can't really listen and worry about the opinions that people say, because everybody's entitled to an opinion. It's free speech. You can say what you want within reason. But yeah, everyone, that's a good thing about the darting community, is that everyone's entitled to an opinion. For me, if it's good, I'll enjoy it. If it's bad, I won't listen to it. So yeah, I don't really look too much into it.
And just looking at other dart players, I mean, you are part of the elite now. And I mean, when I look at not just elite dart players, but elite sportsmen and sportswomen across all the different sports, it seems that at the top of the sport, there's sort of arrogance that you need, but you don't seem to have that. I think it's quite a strange thing to not have. When you talk in interviews, you're always very, very respectful. You give everyone their due. I know other players do that as well, but there seems to be sort of an arrogance and a confidence about people, whereas it's confidence for you, but maybe not the arrogance.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I don't think you'll ever see from me. It's just something that's not in my nature. If I'm world number one and world champion, you still won't see it, because you got to be you got to be, you got to understand that it can all be taken away from you at the split of an eye. So there's no good being arrogant about your success and being overconfident, because there's someone that can replace you very, very quickly. So I like to stay with my feet on the ground, and just respect everybody else, because everybody else has had a journey. Everyone's worked hard to be where they are, and whether I'm playing the world number one or the world number 128, I'll show them the same amount of respect as each other. But you just won't see that in my demeanor. I don't like to be arrogant. Some people seem to think I am, but I tend to try not to show that, because I feel like I feel like I'm much more just enjoy the moment person, instead of sort of going out saying I'm going to beat everybody, I'm going to win this, I'm going to win that, because if you don't, it does make you look silly. So I just like to leave the talking to the other guys, and I'll creep up through the back door and try and win these tournaments.
You mentioned there the world number one spot. I know there's an awful lot of darts to be played between now and the start of January, but if you did win the world championship, you could become world number one. I mean, what would that feel like? Because what are you, 28 years old, to be world champion and world number one that early? I mean, have you thought about that? Have you thought about how you'd keep the focus, even though you are at the very, very pinnacle at such a young age?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. I have looked. It is possible for me to be world number one and not be world champion. I could make the final, and if it's against a certain player, then I could be. Well, if it's against anybody but Smith, then I could be world number one and not be world champion. But for me, if you'd have asked me, would you rather be world number one or world champion? I'd rather be world champion. So, but luckily for me, if I am world champion, the world number one spot will come with that, which is great. And it's something that I've always dreamed of, but never thought it would ever become or even be a possibility. I never really believed it was a reality for me to be able to have both. But it's a long, long way away yet. It's still 6 games away before I can sort of look at these moments and the dreams can become reality. So yeah, it's something that obviously you look into, but for me, I don't think that world number one spot will be the thing that puts me off. It will be, if anything, being world champion, because that is more important than players.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you'd be hoping that you can come through your half of the draw and get to the final, but I'm going to put you on the spot now. That's the other half of the draw. Who do you think comes through that to make the final, whoever it is that they play?
If I was going to sort of guess myself, I can't look at past Gezi in the second quarter. It's a tough one. I think Gary obviously stands a great chance as well. That's quite a tough one. If you look at that on paper, that is quite a tough half
It's
there.
a stacked quarter, it really is.
Yeah, but then if you look at them all, they're all stacked. But that one, yeah, I would probably say Gezi gets through it. But he's in good form as well. And then the top half, I mean, that's a tough one as well. But if I was to have a guess, I'm going to say Rob Cross, just because he's playing well. But you're going to pick the players who are in form, and I'm probably going to be wrong, and it's probably.
I've done the same as you, so we can both be wrong.
Yeah, so you're going to go on form, and then if you're going to go from the third and fourth quarter, you're going to pick Michael Van Gerwen and me. But the funny thing is about darts is it never goes the way you think it's going to go. But if we could. I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to play anybody else but Mike Van Gerwen in the semis. And it might sound crazy, but these are the games that I live for and dream to be involved in. World semi-finals against Michael Van Gerwen. It's what you dream of being a part of. But of course, I'm not going to start worrying about that because there's so many tough players I'm going to have to beat before I'm even worrying about getting to the semi-finals. So, it's important that you take one game at a time. And not get ahead of yourself. No matter how good I'm playing, no matter how good my form is, how much confidence I got, I'm one game away from losing and not being world champion. So I got to respect every person I'm playing, make sure that I'm fully focused for every game. And if I keep playing the way I've been playing, all I know is I'll be a really, really tough player to beat.
Do you look at other people's form heading into the tournament? I mean, obviously, Michael Smith, world champion, world number one, maybe would have hoped to have done a little bit better. We know Peter Wright has struggled, yet still won a major because he's just that good. Is that something that's in your mind when you maybe plot your route to tournaments that, I'm in better form than that person, so that gives me a good chance?
That's the only thing I actually don't do, because I think one thing I've learned in darts is it's just too unpredictable. You can be in the greatest form and then all of a sudden you have a bad game and then that's just it. It doesn't mean you're out of form, but you can have that bad game. And I think Gezi Price has been in fantastic form this year. And then he had that bad game against Kim Ibrex in the players, but that doesn't mean that when he goes into the Worlds, he's going to be off form. Us players are capable of these not great performances. It can happen. We're not robots, and I think everybody expects me to go out into the Worlds, win it, and keep on playing the way I'm playing. But it just doesn't. It's not as easy as that. I'm not a robot. Sometimes I will have a bad game. I've just got to try and make sure that bad game isn't bad enough, for me to lose. So yeah, I don't really tend to look too forward. If you're playing someone in the quarterfinals or a semi-final, it doesn't matter who they are. They've obviously played well to get there. So it doesn't matter who you're playing. You just know that when you're getting to the last 32, the last 16 quarterfinals, you're in for a real tough game, regardless of who it is.
The final question from me is: you've got Ryan Searle, your best mate, in your quarter. How strong is that friendship? Because you've knocked him out a few tournaments now, and you could knock him out the World Championship.
Yeah, it's quite annoying because I'd rather be not playing him. You know, I feel like a couple of the tournaments I've beat him in, if I hadn't beaten him, you know, he was playing well. Who knows? He could, you know, a major title could have been there for him, and it's been quite unlucky. But you know, it's a shame that we have to draw each other in that. You know, he's got a couple of games to win. Yeah, he's got a tough game against Joe Cullen if Joe gets through as well, and then I've got a tough game. So for us to meet in the last 16, there's still a long way to go. But if it is Ryan, you know, unfortunately that friendship has to go on hold again, and I'm hoping I can use the experience that I've used this year, beating him by, you know, winning again. Because we talk about all the top players, but you know, Ryan, I know I'm good friends with him, I'm going to say it, but he's also one of them people that you look at and think, you know, this is a real tough drawer, because we all know how dangerous he is. And I've had to be on absolute top form in the 2 games I've beaten this year on TV, because if I hadn't averaged, I think 105, 103 in the 2 games, you know, I probably would have lost. So yeah, I look at people like Ryan and think he's a dangerous player. But when I'm up on that stage, it doesn't matter to me who I play. You know, I know if I play to the best of my abilities, you know, I'm definitely one of the toughest players in the world to beat.
Luke, huge thank you for talking to us, and good luck for the World Championship.
You was about to say congratulations, though, weren't you?
What was that?
I thought you was about to say congratulations.
I was going to say congratulations, to be honest. I'll say it for I don't see you lose, so I'm just used to lifting trophies.
Are you going to be at the World Championships?
I'm going to be every day at the World Championship, so I don't see how you lose, to be honest.
Can't lose then, can I?
You've only ever lost in Germany when I've been there. And I just want to say as well that we are going to give away a set of your darts. So if anybody's watching and wants to win a set of Luke Humphries darts, just have a look at this tweet there. It's on the Darts Ref channel. We're going to leave the link in the description. We're going to draw the winner Friday. Just follow the instructions there. It's a set of Luke Humphries' new darts, which I think you're going to be using after the World Championship. Is that right?
I'm going to yeah, I really do like them. They've got a little bit of added grip on them, which, you know, might help me. A bit of colour in them, but I'm really sort of looking to try them and see how they go.
Well, there we are. If they are good enough for the potential world number 1 and world champion, then they're good enough for anyone else. Luke, again, thanks very much. And not congratulations yet, but good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers for having me on.
Thank you.